Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Hello World Podcasting with Magdalena. How is everybody doing? Okay, guys, listen, I am very excited again because my guest, Christy from People Inspirational Network, is with me again. And we have a very interesting topic. And the topic will end up to be power of the pain. But before we start, Christy, what I would like to do is pull out a disclaimer and let people know that neither one of us is a doctor or therapist or psychologist. So, folks, we just wanted to let you know this is our own personal experience, and let's see what direction we will go. And if you have any issue, please turn yourself to your medical profession. So we are not taking a responsibility if something gets kind of triggered in that. Okay, okay.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, Christy, thank you for being here again. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me again. This is going to be a fun one.
I know.
I think it's always exciting to have these chats and move the energy around.
Absolutely. Well, this is why we actually made even a decision, to do it because the energy was so raw when we were talking about it. And I said, okay, listen, this is pretty amazing topic. And I think a lot of people will kind of benefit from it because it's about the pain. And also, before we go into that, I would actually bring something from the astrological aspect is that we are right now in the astrological sign of Libra. And I'm sure for most of us, the focus will be on relationships, justice, but also what I really wanted to emphasize that we have actually Chiron in Aries, and the Chiron is always representing the healing aspect. And this is why they're calling it the wounded healer. So this is why I'm excited, Chrissy, that we can actually talk about the power of the pain. And this is something more than people will think. And because we went pretty thorough through that, and it just looked like, oh my God, we were able to get in touch with so many jewels and things, gifts, what actually the pain gave us. So, okay, welcome. Let's go for the sharing.
Okay, well, I do believe it's good to let everyone know where this conversation was birthed, and
Yes.
we
Mm-hmm.
we were you had shared a video with me with Dr. Bear and Michael. I forget the name of their organizations, but I enjoy listening
Alphabetic.
to the
Alphabetic.
Alpha Alphabetic. So shout out to those guys.
Yes.
And someone there had recommended this movie that I had never seen, and you watched it, and then I watched it, and we started talking about. Um, you mentioned to me there was a word in the movie that just kept coming up for you. And I said, okay, let me watch it and I'll see if it's the same word. So I came back to you a few days later and I said, love, because of a previous conversation that I've had with God about my anger. And he expressed to me that in order um, to solve that was by love. And I thought, oh, you got me again, God. So we kind of laughed and we were discussing the movie a bit. And you said, well, that's not the word that came up for me. It was about, then we got into this conversation about the pain. And I said, this is going to be a complex conversation. But hold on, let us get there. We'll open up the can of worms very quickly.
I
And I
know.
said, yes, but you cannot have this unconditional love without experiencing that pain. And you said, oh my gosh, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And here we go.
Mhm.
So you take that from there as to um,
I
Where you
know,
want to go to
my point was always, that, I am totally allergic, and I'm apologizing to those people if I'm hurting this feeling that, if people are just kind of, oh, everything is love and light. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's true. But guess what? This is look like a yin and yang. You have to have a passive and the active side. And so what I'm always talking about is that people are actually totally dismissing their emotions. And what I was actually triggered in this movie, because I realized the reason why I was even actually asking you, hey, you know what, it would be nice to talk about this topic, because the movie actually triggered me about the situation that we are facing today and we will face in the future. And that is about the 15-minute cities. Remember, we were talking about.
Yes, yes,
And
yep.
the point became, and we don't want to spoil the movie for people who didn't watch. So if you wanted to watch the movie, the movie name is The Giver. But the point, what I'm trying to kind of snip a little info about is that why it was so interesting to me, because all emotions were neutralized. I'm not going to into the point how they did, what they did, but we are actually facing the same scenario about that. And actually, 100 years ago, even Rudolf Steiner was talking about these injections will actually separate humans from their soul. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the bottom line. What was so intriguing to me, because I already watched this movie twice, but you know how it is, if you don't have the experience and information, you just pick up that what you are being triggered at the time. And for me, it was because we are dealing right now with so much, with all those all those rules they're trying to bring. The World Health Organization, control in all aspect, the digital money and everything else. And it just looked like, excuse me. So what will happen to the humanity? And the reason what we are looking, what actually not the reason, but what I'm seeing is that the people emotions are the one they're actually bringing up all this suppression and frustration. And what we've been talking about, actually, when we are facing our pain and really try to understand what is, it brings and gives us this incredible gift that is priceless. And I would like you to share how you are seeing all this thing, what you experience. Let me just maybe say that way.
Well, I agree with you. I know we agree on this topic, and we usually, it's so funny because you'll be in your little part of the world, and I'm over here in my little part of the world, and we're saying something different, but it's kind of like that alchemical process where we put those two ingredients in the cooker, and this is what was cooked out of it. And we're like, you were the missing piece and I was the missing piece, but we came together and here it is. So when we both pulled two different aspects out of the movie
Mm-hmm.
and then we put it together, we're like, yes, but you cannot have one without the other.
Yes.
It's just that recent conversation that I heard, where they were talking about, is consciousness real, but they never spoke about subconscious. Like, you cannot have one without the other. And I think the same thing goes with this pain. And then, of course, we talk about unconditional love, and that is completely different from the current fad love and light. And if that's your jam, so be it. I'm not knocking that on
No,
anybody,
no, no, no.
but
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that to truly have the compassion of unconditional love, where you can give love and expect nothing back,
Mm-hmm.
that that is a very powerful thing where you can see someone else hurting. You can feel their pain. You can relate to it because you have been through that pain yourself. And
Exactly.
perhaps, and this is, I thought this was really important that I had mentioned to you is, you know, I went through a lot of pain growing up in my earlier life, a lot of pain, emotional, physical, um, and I don't believe today that I would have the
This
amount or
compassion. Mm-hmm.
just the compassion
Mm-hmm.
and the unconditional love that I have today without going through that. And a lot of people would say, well, yes, out of, adversity comes strength. But in today's society, it's all about let's keep you safe. Let's take away the pain. We don't ever want you to feel pain. We don't ever want you to feel adversity. Everyone gets a participation trophy. No one, look how safe we have to be. When we were kids, we were, flipping over four-wheelers and
Mm-hmm.
scraping up our knees. And I'm not saying that kids aren't doing that today. I can't tell you how many times I've been hit and then with a baseball, um, or ruffled or tackled, playing football with all the neighborhood kids or something. Um, but I think today, I mean, kids can't even go out on their bikes without, knee pads, helmet, elbow pads, wrist pads, ankle pads, training wheels.
And you have to
You
have the
know,
phone with you so that you can let your parents know where you are.
right, absolutely. So there's society has taught us along the way recently in the recent decades, let's overprotect from this pain. And now, you know, our country was built on, liberty and freedom and the pursuit of happiness. And I believe it's Ben Franklin has a famous quote that, if you're going to any society that gives up their liberty and freedoms for a little bit of safety will have neither and deserves none.
Mm.
And everything right now that's being written that's not even, from people in our country, it's being paid for. It's all about what makes us all safe. In reality, I do believe they are in a lot of fear and they want to remain safe themselves from us because at some point, those of us that have this deep compassion and love for this country that we were born in, and even people who come here from other countries seeking out the American dream that they were promised, that we were promised. We're brought up believing, you have these unalienable rights given granted to you by God when you're born. And that's being trampled on. It's all out of balance.
Well, listen, I mean, I came 30 plus years ago here. That was my idea that, hey, the world will be much different and better here than where I came from. And I just look like, holy moly, it turned out totally different. But, these are the experiences that actually changed in 30 years.
Yeah. So I believe that I'm not sure what type of how this will play out. I'm trying to be very careful with my words, as I said before. I'm not I'm not inciting anything. I'm not trying to stir the pot too much. I want to make sure that everybody understands that we dive deep into the very deep into this complex topic, and we know that we're not going to be able to have this unconditional love without going through these pains that we're supposed to have. And we cannot do that if everybody is just overprotected and over safe and over loved and light.
Mm-hmm. Well,
We're
remember,
going to have to get angry and rise up out of that. Go ahead.
Well, I was just kind of trying to say that, this work actually impacts us in so many area. It's just not about our own personal lives. This is showing up everywhere. I mean, I remember how many times we've been asking the question, look at those people who are in a, leadership position, government, and then look, like I said, leader, doesn't matter what. I mean, these people themselves are not capable sometimes to stand up for what is right. So the question becomes, where is this coming from? Is this the fear, or is just the manipulation from all those different aspects from many other groups and everything else? But the point becomes here is that we are, again, here we are in the Libra energy again, that is, and also the Chiron in Aries, where we've been hurt. What aspect needs is looking for the healing? Where did we have the pain? Where is this pain coming from? And yes, a lot of people are hurting that, here we are trying to be honest citizens and everything else, yet the opposition is just actually not caring about these people concerns.
Yeah, I do. I know a lot of people already feel that. I do believe that there is a multitude of reasoning. I do believe that elected or appointed officials are, they themselves, I think they get there or they go there wanting to do the right thing. And then when they're there, they are,
Hit with the totally different aspects, yes.
right, right. So yeah,
Mhm.
maybe they are a little bit afraid. Maybe, maybe they're manipulated by, other means, whether it's energy, um, chemical, as we know that all of these things are possible, chemical warfare, frequency warfare, um, they can be
All
manipulated,
aspects, yes.
right, by these things. Um, it's very difficult to tell, but I would be interested. That would be another interesting topic. I would be interested to look into that a little bit more. Plus, we don't even know. I mean, anything's possible. Maybe they said, "Oh, hey, Mr. Elected Governor, come to this meeting," and then he gets kidnapped, he's cloned, and then they send back, the AI, the robot, the automaton. It could be a hologram for all we know, or somebody who got injected with something. I mean, we really just don't know, but we
No,
do
no,
see
no. That's
the,
the
uh,
whole
the,
bottom line, yes.
the atrocity out here.
But on the other side, we had so many conversations about it doesn't matter actually, because you can always try to find a solution in every situation, because on the some level what it is actually doing to us is that it's triggering us to find something, because it's about the survival. And I think that's
Yeah.
another thing is that the most powerful energies in the human being is that, no matter what, you're trying to survive, no matter how complex the situation is.
Well, I think that's just a natural
Instinct, yes.
emotion, yeah, instinct inside of us is
Mm-hmm,
survival.
mm-hmm,
I think this is where the fun part of the conversation comes in, where we talk about, um we had briefly discussed, um well, what if this then that, and we were talking about, um using the elements.
mm-hmm,
And the other part was, because I had brought up I said, well, what if I'm thinking that, okay, I'm sure the collective probably think is so mad and so hurt right now, the imbalance, right, of the injustices that they're feeling. What if the collective wants a revolution? Again, not inciting anything, but it kind of looks like that. You hear about this, right? Um, and then out of that revolution, or a lot of people say, oh no, we don't want that. We know what war looks like. Nobody wants to feel the pain of it. Um, but if they say, well, you know, that's the only way to correct what's going on or to get their justice of what's going on. At what point is that processing the energy versus seeking revenge? Is it just about the injustice? Because typically, most people, and this is where I started to hurt my own head a little bit, was most people don't seek revenge unless they've been hurt. Some injustice has been done to them. Or is that just a word that people use as revenge versus
Well,
seeking
remember we were
justice?
talking about, and the point to me, the way I am my understanding from my own experiences, is that when you try to suppress somebody, you totally suppress any movement. This energy, if doesn't have an outlet, it will explode. So here you are. That's becoming the natural revolution. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, if we go naturally, then it's if you continue to suppress the energy,
Exactly. That's the whole
then
point.
and it you don't take these steps along the way, then the universe will force this upon you, and it will be 10 times, or tenfold. It will hurt 10 times, or the extremities will be 10 times tenfold. So in my situation, I'm thinking, hey, let's just deal with this now. So, and yeah, it might hurt. It's probably going to be painful, but let's just deal with this now versus, or it may cost a little bit now. And I'll use the example of, um, oh, the car is acting up. Hey, listen, let's just bite the bullet and go take the car in now. It's going to cost a little bit. If we wait too long, more things are going to break down and it's going to
Mhm,
cost even more, right?
mhm, mhm.
So maybe just our energies, our emotions require this maintenance of not being suppressed. Because when the universe comes back around, the universe, okay, you want to continue on this roller coaster, you want to continue on this energy path, it's just going to circle right back around. And now I'm going to push you into this.
Because the accumulation from other stuff that's supposed to happen in the meantime, it will add to it. And another thing, what I was looking for to add to that is that, people think, I just don't want to deal with this. Remember, we've been talking about so much about the suppressed molecule of emotions.
Yes.
And I always say, if you think that when you say, oh, I don't want to deal with it just for the sake of the peace or for harmony, all these excuses, and you
Oh,
just
I'll just put the mask on. I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So when people are saying, well, I don't want to deal with this, I will just kind of slide it, it will kind of take care of itself. Yes, maybe, but guess what? If that energy is important, I will tell you, it will erupt in the most difficult situation that you will never expect it. And that will be worse than if you would dealt with that at the time when it was happening. And that is something that I always say to people, because I would say this, what we are dealing right now, this is a culmination actually from all those things. Oh, you know what, just for the sake of the peace, sake of this, sake of that, let's just agree with that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that is never a solution, because the point, we wanted to integrate that energy. What are we dealing with it? Remember, we were even actually talking about these 15-minute cities, I think last week. And
Mm-hmm.
we were trying to figure out this, like, okay, why people are not understanding the challenges what this whole thing is bringing. Okay. And so the question was that we were asking the question, do these people really understand what they are actually trying to create? and what kind of consequences all this is gonna bring. I don't think that people are understanding that.
Well, this I think, brings up a very interesting concept and topic of, especially in dealing with the energies and how to work with them in transforming the energies. If we're aware or not, let's just say, let me use an example. Well, I'll use your example of the fluoride in the water. We're all aware that, by now the fluoride in the tap water is not good for you. It's not good for the plants. You don't want to drink it. But there are some people, so that water, you feel like if I drink that, it's going to harm my body. But there are some people who say, "Oh, I don't care. I'm just going to drink the water. It doesn't bother me." It's their belief system that the water will not hurt them, and therefore it probably doesn't. So we are now talking about the belief of the conviction, right,
Mm-hmm.
of your own belief system.
Yep.
So will people who are not knowledgeable, and I mean no disrespect to
Not
anyone's
informed
knowledge
enough.
base,
Not informed
right?
enough. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, not informed enough. If people aren't informed, then maybe living in the 15-minute city will not affect them. Maybe they like it. Maybe they never leave that boundary.
Because you know what, I would say if people are thinking that we are doing the kind of conspiracy mumbo jumbo here, you know what, go to their website and try to read about that information, guys. This is nothing that we are trying to make up here. This information exists. So very
Yeah.
simple.
Well, I think the other interesting aspect was, you brought up another example of the if how do I say this? This is kind of new and gets a little complex. If if you are aware of the things that can harm you or that are not good for you, and you so you try to stay away from them, but it is your belief system that those things are harmful, I don't want to deal with them, or I have to push back on them,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if it's your belief system that maybe you're just not informed enough, you have no idea about it, not until those somebody informs you about that thing, that it could restrict you or it could harm you, then it can't harm you. And then now at some point, and maybe this is why they blurt these things on the news, or maybe they have people who they controlled opposition, who come out and say, oh, they want us to live in fear, or this is the new plan and this is what they're doing, they're evil. um, that that makes you informed and also makes you fearful. At that point, we talked about transforming the energies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
before was actually about being in denial of the denial.
yes, yes, that's it. Being in denial of the denial.
Mm-hmm.
And actually part of that can also be part of the pain.
Absolutely. I mean, we were talking about, but then I was catching myself. It's like, oh crap, this has to do also even with the belief system. So, even we were talking about what if it's 150 feet, a tsunami is coming up, and it's like, what are you gonna do? So, will you run? Or are you actually trying to gather the forces? But then you really have to be strong in your own belief system, that you can actually prevent that, or detour or whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is why I actually started to hesitate. Wait a minute, this is something that I have to right now think more about, that being in the denial of the denial of the denial. Yes.
Well, I
But
thought
that,
it was a I
yeah,
thought
go
it was
on.
great to begin the conversation because
I would say
I
that
said,
is more,
well,
Chrissy, for people who actually still, don't believe, oh, those people will not harm me and not do anything to me. So I realize that is maybe more valid for the people who are still not in. Remember, and we came to the point that maybe it's about the information and knowledge. That can actually then change.
well, I think a lot of people, regardless of your knowledge, would understand, wow, a 150-foot tall tsunami, that's going to wipe everything out. But we sat here and talked it through. And I said, well, wait a minute. I want to talk this through because, you know, given my career and background, is different from yours. So, I use the example, well, what if we went into a building and then there was, I saw a stairway, that was too shallow or kind of rickety. You may think nothing of it, but given my background in architecture and I may say, nope, that's not safe. I'm not going up there. Right. So
And
I
do
think
the
that's part of
precautions.
right.
Mhm.
So, I, but the other factor was if we're practicing the conviction of our own belief system and learning how to transform the energies, and now I'm just starting to implement the elements into that. I'm sure with the 150-foot tsunami, there could be people sitting there and understanding how to transform the energies and make the tsunami die down before it gets to the beach, or maybe it goes off in the other direction and it doesn't touch the people who already are skilled in doing this and who believe they have this belief system who can do this. They're using these elements and they're pushing the water away, or they're making the wave very, very small so that it's very tiny when it gets to the beach. And I
Yeah,
said, what does that remind you of?
exactly. Moses.
Yeah,
Yes.
Moses parting the sea in the Bible.
Mhm.
So, you know, I do believe that those things are possible. And I believe that those things are possible. I use it and I've done it myself. I do believe that if people can step outside of their fear and learn these skills, then there's really not much to be afraid of.
Well, I mean, we actually had many conversations actually about all this, what we were processing, especially right now in the last 3 years. That yes, in the beginning it was very frustrating, and let me just say this: it's not necessarily less frustrating today, but we are embracing those energy. And what we also spoke about that is that they gave actually us a gift to actually go deeper in ourselves and find those spots and these energies and belief systems and consciousness where we will open up and activate those energies.
Absolutely, 100%. I do believe that it was necessary,
Mm-hmm.
right? It has been necessary to go through this to so that we, instead of just sitting behind the computer, being a keyboard warrior or waiting on someone to come save us, we dived into the books. How do we transform this? What do we, where what can we do just from our level, from our individual little tiny level?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can do this, and it's just something for you specifically. And maybe the answer isn't to say, well, I have to save the whole world. I have to, I have to be the one to stop. And a lot of people will say, well, what can I do? I'm just one person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you can do is just step outside your fear, refine your skills, maybe relearn these skills. I'm sure we're all equipped with them, and that's it. All you have to do is just transform the energy by having these conversations. We know that that works.
Also, what I would like to add is, you know, don't be afraid about your pain. allow yourself to open up. Yes, you may relive that, you may experience it, but the more you are talking about that, this is why I'm always saying the more you are talking about these energies and experiences, the less they have an impact on you. And with the time, it just becomes just another energy because you are able to integrate that into yourself and, encourage yourself. The point is the world. I would say there are not many people who never been hurt in their lives, especially in the today world. Everybody is hurt by something. And the point is just embrace that energy. And it's okay. Because when I started to learn and experience, I mean, when I was going through my own, challenges, I was devastated. But then down the road, I realized the gifts, what I was receiving, that I realized the further I went down on the rabbit hole, the more on the opposite I was gifted with that. And that,
Mm-hmm.
that became a huge, um, how should I started to kind of embrace my stuff instead to push it away. So with that, I would say, uh, what our inspiration here is to help people to say, you know what, I understand why I was in so much pain, because now I can actually say I received those other gifts, which I would never be able to get it, because it's about the exchange of the energy. That's an alchemical aspect, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be like a tool for your toolkit.
Absolutely.
And then the
Absolutely.
next time it comes up, you'll be like, oh, that's no big deal. I already know how to do that. I can embrace this,
Yes.
right? We're going to go through it and it's not that big of a deal. Now if we don't have the exact answer, maybe we have some alternative.
Well, remember what our things work became. It's just like, hey, if you are feeling challenged, it's like, okay, I know where to call. It's like, I need help. Let you on
Yeah,
this one.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
by the time we are through with that, talk, it's like, oh my God, we just come out with a whole different solution. And, my mantra is always, for every problem, there is a solution, guys. There's nothing on this planet that it does not have a solution. This is my biggest, actually, faith, that for everything is a solution. You will be challenged to find a solution, but hey, the more you're practicing, the easier it will get, because then you are in this routine. You are starting to, use your brain, aspect of your brain you never used before, and it's like, okay, let's do that. So,
It's so funny that you said that. Side note, I just figured out the solution for the 150-foot tsunami.
oh my God, here you are. You as an architect. Remember, I always say to you, I'm giving you the material. You are the builder.
Well, it has absolutely nothing to do with building, but it has everything to do with frequency.
Uh-huh. Okay, here you are. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
all we
talking.
have to do is, yeah, I'm just sorry, I think about that. You've had the dreams, but now it's like, okay, here's the solution. How,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
because everything here is just, frequency, vibration, and energy.
Yeah, and you know what is great, that we are not afraid to challenge each other, and that's what I'm very thankful for, that I don't have you here. I mean, you are always allowing me to express myself, to max, even though it's very complicated or less pleasant, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, that really helps to change the energy, because look, like I always say, there's always a lesson behind, always.
Absolutely. I get excited. You're like, okay, I'm going to challenge you now. I get excited about, I'm like, bring it. Let's go. Because all it does is get me to, step up a notch. It's
Mhm.
good practice.
Absolutely.
Because we will always take a second look at a situation or
Mhm.
find a different solution. I think it's fun, but I am one of those geeky kind of nerdy people who find fun in the complexity of things.
Well, that's exactly what we are trying. Actually, even this whole message beyond power of pain is that when you are able to start to work with that energy, all of a sudden it becomes less painful and it will go into the opposite direction. You know,
Right.
but, but
Well,
also people have to also recognize that life is never just a one thing. We have to embrace, hey, if we are dealing with the challenges or something is bringing a pain, that's part of that process. Do not demonize. That's the whole bottom line. People are, like I said, that's what is the society doing to us. Oh, no, no, no. They will do everything to you so that you just don't feel pain. But that's how you become numb. And when you are numb, you are not creative.
right. Out of that pain and anger, you know, change is born. Like you said, you're being creative. That change comes up out of that. Well, this makes me angry or this hurt me. I'm going to change that.
Yep.
And here's how I'm going to do that. This is what needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And the question is always, you ask yourself, well, why are you angry? Why are you in pain? What happened? It's like, okay, now this is a course correction. What can you do to align that energy that is most suiting to you? You know what I'm saying? So, and again, that's the beauty for me about the Libra energy. So, hey, my dear, I have a question. Anything else you would like to add to it before we are closing?
Wow. I mean, we could go on for days,
Yeah, this is why I am
on our
using this
topics.
part.
And I think as we learn more, I have a couple of books here open to pages that I think I want to maybe expand on this topic,
Okay.
perhaps in the future.
Yes.
Um, because we will create all kinds of things out of it, and
Yes.
add it to the network. And we
Hmm.
are moving along, adding a few things here and there. And if there is anyone out there who knows about or would like to be part of the network, we don't charge anybody to be a part of it, but we just want to spread the information, share the information. And uh, you can always email me at peoplesinspirationnetwork@gmail.com, and we'll get you added. We're still building it. It's, things like this of large scale takes a bit of time,
Hmm.
and hopefully it'll be ready for everybody to use. I think you can go there now, but the more that gets added, the better alternatives that we will have. See, we've already found a solution. What's the solution? We have some alternatives here, just to try to connect, share, and inspire people to do the
Absolutely.
same.
Absolutely. Well, listen, my dear, thank you so much. I'm always excited with our sharing information. And okay, folks, we hope that was actually helpful to understand or see how this implied to you and what wisdom can you pull out. And until next time, take good care. And thank you so much for being here, Christy. I appreciate very much.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.